the draft. Just to give you an overview of how it works, paragondraft.com. You can check it out and use it for yourself if you ever get the idea, you know, have some kind of competitive type Paragon fun. Quick overview of how this works. You have 30 seconds to make your pick or your ban. If that runs out, it goes into 30 seconds of extra time that you have for the rest of the draft. If the extra time runs out, the website picks for you. You know, that's always a little fun getting the random picks. So I'm ready when you are, Gems, to hit that start replay button.
Yeah, we already are into this pick and ban phase on screen. Narbash has been banned on the side of Bronze Army. Reborn currently banning. We do see the Rampage coming out on the side of Reborn. Deca first pick as well from Bronze Army, which I'm absolutely loving. Strong picks on the board yet again from both sides. We see the Bellica and the Morigesh coming through on the side of Reborn. Similar sort of things we've been watching throughout the whole tournament. Pick and ban priority really high on Bellica, Deca, Morigesh throughout the entirety of PCL. To be honest, we saw it yesterday. Bronze Army, similar sort of strategy. They went for the big AoE compositions. I wouldn't be surprised to see them pick up that Howitzer as well, along with that Sevrog that we're seeing as well.
Yeah, Sevrog is definitely a good pick. Taking that away from Jay Leo is going to be very important. But Jay Leo has a few other picks up his sleeves. You know, he's got access to Grux. He's got access to maybe even a Kwang, because he likes to play Kwang in the jungle sometimes as well.
Yeah, we are seeing that Gideon as what's been brought out from Bronze Army. It's also a pick that's gone up really tremendously in priority. That pull powers really shot him up. He's now become one of the higher tier mid laners. We're seeing consistent teams picking him. We saw him picked yesterday, I think, in Finesse Oxygen. Both teams fighting for that pick. It was on both sides throughout both matches. They really wanted it. Just the power Gideon has with the portal as well can get his team into safety or into good positions for engagements. And the power of the slow with the pull on the ultimate, that call is incredible.
Yeah, and that seems to be the case. We are seeing the Grux and the Kwang, so that is going to be one of Jay Leo's other picks, followed by Reflect on the Kwang in the off lane. So overall, Reborn already starting to round out the team comps and getting the opportunity, you know, get a really solid team, a good team fight. Engagements are definitely in their favor, and they have the damage and burst coming out of the Bellica, the Kwang, and the Morigesh.
Yeah, they're going to be really reliant on Grux sort of charging in, or Bellica getting a good seismic assault or a knockup, like the knockup effect. They don't have sort of a long range engage. The judgment of the heavens from Kwang is a bit hit or miss. You can, if you don't have setup for it, it's not an ability you want to 100% rely on for your engagements, because if it misses, that's a huge cooldown just gone, and it's not one of the easiest abilities to hit.
Interesting enough, we are seeing the ADCs picked at the end of the draft. Miso Sneak is going to be grabbing onto Twin Blast. He's arguably one of the best ADCs right now in the game. He's got a lot of versatility. He can work with a lot of team comps, and he has a lot of burst damage as well as sustained damage through the auto attacks. And they're going to follow up in the last pick with a Greystone, which we saw yesterday, rocking that Radiant Mantle Tainted Magic build, which is starting to really shoot up in popularity right now.
Yeah, it really is. And does close out their comp really well. They have their front line with the Greystone and the Sevrog. Then they have that containment field with Black Hole combo should they choose to go for it. And Reborn just going to finish it off with the Revenant. We didn't actually see Revenant yesterday on the B stream. Has fallen down, I think, a little bit. A lot of the teams electing to go for the Sparrow phase combo, which we saw Finesse doing, it looked incredibly strong at points in the game.
Right.
Get out.
Well, it was the duo. It was the duo support we saw yesterday that really hindered the Sparrow, because they didn't have enough damage on Team Finesse in order to really capitalize on that. And as soon as the phase went down, Sparrow didn't have the second piece of utility to keep her alive, right? Yeah. So I think today is going to be a little different, because we're actually seeing teams not prioritize phase like we have in the past few weeks.
And we also are getting a Bellica support with this draft. Quang's going to be in that off lane, Grux in the jungle, Morigesh most likely in the mid lane. And Revenant Bellica is nothing to be laughed at. That combo, if you can get a knock-up with the Obliterate, that is going to remove most off-laners. However, Greystone is an off-laner they can look to get kills on. He's nerfed in recent times, so his early game isn't that strong. Where he does shine is sort of that mid to late game. Once he's got the Radiant Mantle, once he's got the Tainted and a bit of health to back those cards up, is when Greystone really starts to shine in team fights, in matches. But early couple of levels, when you have an aggressive lane like this, he could be heavily punished.
All right. Well, we know what the drafts are. We've been waiting for long enough. Let's get the game underway. And here we are. Welcome to the start of the semifinals for today. It's going to be Bronze Army versus Reborn. Introduce Bronze Army. We have Taboo on Gideon, Cranky Trash Can on Severog. Joshua is going to be busting out the Greystone, and Miso Sneaky, ADC Twin Blast, and Nabori on the Decker. Both teams moving as 5, walking right by each other. It's going to be Joshua getting caught out, hits by the smash and grab. Grenade from Twin Blast going out to try and help out. Won't be enough, but he seems to have gotten away with J. Leo right on his tail. Reflect with the judgment being dropped right on top of Joshua's head, picking up first blood of the game at 46 seconds.
I loved exactly what Reborn were doing there. They've been watching the way Bronze Army has been playing, and they predicted the strategy they were going to go for. But before I carry on talking about, let's introduce Reborn. We have Jade Leo on that Grux, Master Splinter on the Bellica, Reflect on that Quag, Nadosik on that Revenant, and Solo Nazgul on the Morigesh. And as I was mentioning, lovely little prediction there from the side of Reborn, knowing exactly what Bronze Army were planning to do and just getting an early game pick for themselves. Nice little boost in card power heading over to Reflect, which is going to be really helpful for him in that offlane.
Well, we talked a little bit about this yesterday, is with the newer teams, they have more bread and butter strategies, right? They know what they can do. It's going to be their go-to thing. And so on the more veteran teams, more experienced teams, when they know that, they know how to counter that and work around it, because 9 times out of 10, the newer teams are just going to practice the same strategy over and over again. Once you knock that out of the park, you can start demoralizing the team, and you can start taking advantage of it in your own field.
Yeah, we also are seeing this duo mid coming out here from the side of Reborn. We've been seeing it yesterday as well. Incredibly popular option. It allows the 3-man rotating squad with J. Leo to then go and invade the enemy side of the jungle, try and go take green, try to take a couple of whites, maybe just reduce the Amber Link. And for Bronze Army to really do much about it, they have to overcommit some resources, which is always going to put them slowly behind, even if they don't really get much here on the side of Reborn.
And I was just about to ask if that Reborn was going to actually utilize their ward to get the green buff. They're going to go right in, grab it, and the subject comes out from Cranky, but J. Leo managed to secure it just in time. The rest of Reborn now rotating in to try and take the Severog down out of his own jungle. Reflects throwing down the Judgment of the Heavens, but he will miss as they rotate in, but Reflect going to get the auto attack off to pick up the kill once again. This time on to Severog. Now they're just taking complete control of the strong side jungle of Bronze Army.
Yeah, this is what I was mentioning. The rotations are so much quicker because they have this duo in mid. They can get there before Taboo can get there. In most cases, they can push the wave under his tower, rotate. Reflect can also join in, so it ends up being a 3v4 in a lot of these fights because Taboo has to then go through the side of Reborn, which is not a side of the map you want to be engaging from as a Gideon, so he's unable to have that impact he would like.
And to make it even worse, we got a double black buff, which was picked up by Reborn on both sides. So now the Grux is able to super clear through his own weak side jungle and get those extra points even further. Starting to create an early game lead already, only 3 minutes into the game.
Yeah, there is. You can already see the farming lead has already been created. It's about 10 minion creep lead at the moment. Points are slightly in favor of Reborn. You can already see Reflect hitting 7 with those 2 kills. As an offlaner, this is one of the greatest feelings when you start getting points, because you can go back, grab a couple of extra healer tokens a couple minutes into this game, and now the duo lane are going to really struggle to kill you, and you can sit there and farm and carry on boosting your overall card power.
So the nice thing, at least in favor of Bronze Army, is they have a Gideon who's a very, very safe mid laner. He won't be able to box or flex onto the enemy duo lane as much without his jungler, but he can at least stand her tower and avoid ganks and avoid taking too much damage using the torn space to try and jump out of there if things get a little too heated.
Yeah, he's going to be okay. They probably won't fall unless there's going to be a gank coming out, sort of a tower dive from J. Leo. If they can bait out the Torn Rift a little bit earlier, that's when you'll be able to see a gank happen. However, that's not going to be the main focus point. This duo mid is going to be looking for engagements elsewhere on the map. They're going to be looking for rotations sort of into the jungle, into the offlane side, to maybe try and take out Joshua if they can before he hits that level 5 and gets that ultimate available.
Yeah, because once Joshua hits level 5, the Greystone becomes quite a bit of an annoyance, especially with the new build coming through. I don't even think that a Morigesh will be able to handle that properly, because as long as Greystone has his abilities turned on, he has his Q turned on, and he's just walking at the target with that Tainted Magic and Radiant, there's not a whole lot any target can do, really. He's just going to chip your health away and laugh about it.
He is about halfway through to level 5 right now, so he's going to get access to that ultimate fairly safely right now, which means his farming phase now becomes a little bit easier. He's got that extra bit of health with that ultimate. Yes, it is a long cooldown, but he can farm now a lot more safely than he could before. Nazgul's going to probably have a bit more of a trickier time pushing him out now, especially with the double healer token and the health pot already. You can see Joshua hasn't really sustained much damage.
And now we have Bronze Army rotating their entire team to the jungle to try and secure the green buff. It's going to go to Miso Sneaky as Team Reborn's coming in to look to get the second green buff of Bronze Army. However, they realize it has been taken. They're going to decide to back off instead of push on and make any mistakes, losing that early game advantage they have already.
Yeah, it's the sort of calm before the storm. Not much is going to be happening for the next couple of minutes. We're going to see a couple of potential gank attempts from J. Leo, but apart from that, he's hovering. He's looking for one right now. He has got visual control, and he might just go for this.
It'd be nice to see him go in because he has the opportunity. He's hovering around. He's waiting. He decides that he's going to go in. Reflects right there. Miso Sneaky goes to go in for the ward, but he gets caught by the judgment. Smash and grab for 2. Double pain to follow up on that one as Miso Sneaky's using the last bit of his mana to huck out a few grenades. And that's going to be a successful peel for Bronze Army.
Yeah, they do manage to survive that engagement from J. Leo. He doesn't have the Warlord's challenge yet. He's only level 4. Reflect only just hit level 5 during that, so his Judgment of Heaven was already down, so he wasn't able to use the Fury of the Heavens to get in and join in that fight a little bit earlier with J. Leo. That could have potentially have given them a kill, but it was slightly mistimed. However, they're not going to be too upset with that. They end up pushing out the lane. Reflect ends up getting that gold buff for himself and a few extra minions as well.
We have an invasion of the jungle once again as Reborn is looking to get the pick on Cranky Trashkin. He's the last bit of his mana for the Phantom Rush just to get out of there. Jumping onto the Amberlink, and this is a bad sign. When people are starting to prioritize the Amberlink and there's not much you can do about it, that's going to deny the global farm that the team will get from the jungler. Smash and grab goes out, and that will miss onto Taboo as he torn spaces just out of range of the Grux. We're going to rotate back into mid. We're seeing Reborn use a lot of muscle here, use a lot of early game aggression. This isn't typically their style.
It isn't their style, but they are doing it incredibly well. They have already accrued a 50-point lead in minions, already at 150 to about 110, so 100. Wow.
Oh. In the off lane, we do have Reflect going down to Miso, Sneaky, and Nabori. Probably getting a little too fresh for Sneaky's liking.
A little bit of an overextension. Still, the stun grenade combo coming out, incredibly powerful at this point in the game. It's got a few points into it. Miso Sneaky has got, 2 points into it. Incredibly powerful, as I said. The damage is incredibly high. Sneaky 12 points as well. The furthest on his team, but if you just look at Reborn, they're all at 10 to 12, even 13 points in Solo High School right now.
The CP advantage is really starting to creep ahead. They're 30 ahead of the other team, maybe a little extra. Cranky Trashcan's just hitting level 5 right now, and he actually needs the ADC to kind of rotate through to ensure he has the safety to actually farm his own jungle, which means that there's going to be some XP leeching, so he's not going to be as leveled up as the Grux.
Yeah, Nibori's only level 3 right now. He hasn't really been sitting in lane throughout a lot of this match, so he's going to be struggling. He's not going to have that containment field, and even just now, he is falling. That invade from Reborn.
And that is going to be Nadosip picking the kill onto Nabori as Reborn once again, for I believe the 5th or 6th time in a row, goes in to invade. Taboo with a big ultimate on the black hole from Gideon, catching out almost the entire Reborn. Cranky Trashcan falling with a great colossal blow, but Solo Nazgul is there to finish the job and pick up the kill on to Bronze Army. That's going to be 3-0. Not for trying, but not good enough.
It looked like a strong engage. They decided to pull the trigger. They've had enough of their jungle being taken, and they went for a slightly risky play there because they didn't have the point lead. They didn't have the position for that fight. They were trying to get a couple of kills with it, and they ended up getting punished.
And there's NATO getting punished by the tower, but the tower goes down before damage can be really dealt to the last chunk of health on the Revenant. And he's going to walk away basically for free once again. Score now 6-1 in favor of Reborn. It's not looking so good for Bronze Army. What do they need to do, Gems, in order to bring this game back in their favor?
Well, they need to get more kills and reflect as they did before. It was a nice pick-off that they managed. They need to try to look for similar on maybe reflect or maybe someone else. But more importantly, they need Nibori here to hit level 5. They need that containment field as soon as possible to make sure they can split off reflect and J-Leo from the carry, from their tank line. They also need to try and stall because they're behind right now. Already 4 to 5 points on the board, 6-1 the kills, and the farming is only getting worse.
And now they're actually going to jump right onto the Raptors as 5. Bronze Army is going to be very slow to rotate as Joshua was all the way in the right lane. That's one Raptor down, the second one getting prepped to be taken as Bronze Army continues to rotate in and looking to contest it. They're considering it. Rock being dropped from Taboo into the Raptor pit to do a little damage, but it's not going to be an engagement to follow up on as they basically let Reborn just take Raptors for free, and they watch from the sidelines as Reborn continues to build up their lead.
Murgesh, the amount of damage you're seeing out of Stolen Nazgul meant that Cranky Trashcan was only at like a little bit of HP. He was really struggling. They couldn't go into that fight that well. It was really rough for them. And again, this lead that they've given themselves on the side of Reborn is going to get larger and larger. It's going to be really, really rough here right now for them to deal with it.
We're now coming up on to the Amber Link being picked up at this time, 12-minute mark, just a few seconds away. Looking at builds, are we seeing anything interesting coming out right now? We see Severog finally getting his Mad Spore Sash. We see a Thick Blood coming out of Stolen Nazgul.
Yeah, the early Thick Blood, I like just reduce any sort of health pots people have running, the healer tokens as well that people currently have, so it's still effective in the early stages of the game. It can still play around things like the quenching scales. If we do see Nibori grab that early, hasn't had the chance to get it. He elected to go for the Circlet of Health, hasn't managed to grab the quenching just yet. He's sitting on a couple of points, probably on the next back.
And that is going to be it. We have the duo lane rotating back into the mid lane. Master Splinter looking to aggress onto Taboo as he continues in. 30 seconds away from River Buff spawns. We're seeing very, very favorable buffs spawn on the map, very aggressive buffs. Last rotation was purple and black. Kind of interesting how this one picks up, because I don't think that Bronze Army has actually picked up a single river buff this game so far, Gems.
No, it makes the engagements even harder to do because they're fighting against a black buff or a red buff that gives them that extra boost in power. J-Leo's already setting up for it, hovering around this mid lane. Maybe going to place a couple of wards if he has them available before going for this river buff.
And there they are, 13 minutes in the game. We are getting a red and a black. We have Master Splinter onto the red as J-Leo's not even worrying about the buff. He's actually on the Amber Link. The black buff is right there, but they don't know it's a black yet. As soon as they get that, I'm assuming they're going to take advantage of that as fast as possible. Draining the Amber Link now. J-Leo is rotating back into the river. NATO Sick keeping an eye on his teammate, making sure no one's going over there to really do anything about it. Cranky Trashcan stuck just farming, trying to survive. They're going to give the black buff over to the carry of Team Reborn as they go in and de-ward the enemy jungle. Taboo right outside, keeping an eye on what he wants to do. And this game is completely one-sided now as Reborn have completely taken full control of the entire map.
They haven't. You can also see the fact that Cranky Trashcan on that Severog has fallen a bit behind. We talked about this yesterday. If you put that Severog behind a little bit, he really struggles to farm. He has a really slow clearing speed in comparison to a lot of the other junglers. Will take a bit more damage, and if you weaken his early game, that weakness just becomes even more noticeable. You can already see him only at 15 points, whereas J-Leo's at 19 right now. 67 farm to 66. He's keeping up in farm, but those kills, those assists have just put J-Leo so far ahead.
Yeah, and we are seeing score is still 6-1, so nothing's changed too much aside from Reborn just going in, making sure they take control of the enemy jungle, keeping that farm up. With the score now being 300 to 230, so they're 70 farm ahead of the enemy team. Yeah,
and it's only gonna get rougher, to be honest. Like when Raptors then spawn, I suspect that's when the next major fight is going to happen. Reborn don't really have any reason to force much right now. They've been just they know they have vision of that jungle. They know any fights that happen right now, as long as they've got that vision that we've been seeing them set up every time they invade, they're going to win them. Especially because they've been running this dual mid. They have actually swapped their dual mid over to this far side of the map, maybe to just get this tower down and then set up for the Raptors afterwards.
Double Blacks has spawned onto the map. J-Leo picking up one. I'm not too sure who picked up the other one. It didn't really show. Hopefully that goes to Bronze Army. Also, it was Sneaky who gets it onto Bronze Army, which is very, very good. And they're actually able to utilize maybe a little mana regen and get some extra clear going off. Reflects in the left lane right now as the duo lane is actually engaging onto the Greystone, burning down his ultimate. So he's going to have to jump back as he doesn't have the extra security he needed before. And there is a tower going down for Bronze Army as Reflect managed to secure it. And he picks up a kill onto Miso. Sneaky, despite the black buff being there. Nabore dropped the containment fence. It's now Reflect versus support. As Nabori's going to drop the cage and try and get away. He's going to have to use the quenching scales just to try and save himself. He has the advantage, but he's losing it quickly as Nabori's fighting the enemy minion wave. It's going to be Kwong dropping the judgment onto the Decker, and he goes down. Cranky Trash Can now rotating in. He's going to land the subjugate just barely. The Light of the Heavens is there to protect. Cranky Trash Can says no and delivers a colossal blow to the skull of the Kwong, but it doesn't matter. The 4-1 split was executed successfully as they have a T2 down off in the right lane, inhibitor being pushed, and they're going right on top of it. And it's going to be the clap, the smash and grab, and that could be very well a dead Greystone. There it is. And that is going to be a dead Moragesh at this time as the team then disengages, no longer encouraging the push onto the inhibitor. Score time now 16:45, only 15 seconds away from the next round of River Buffs once again. It's kind of interesting to see what Reborn's going to do with this. They're going to back, they're going to buy, maybe look at Raptors.
Yeah, Raptors have spawned. They managed to get a few kills. What I really loved is Reflex actually trades a 2-for-1 there. He does fall down, but he does get 2 kills for himself. So that meant that Reborn had full sort of ability to carry on with this push on the other side of the map. They had to send 2 resources to deal with him, and we might be seeing a desperation play here coming out from Bronze Army, going for this prime. Will they be able to get it?
This is the pick because we're seeing Reborn and look for the Raptors. They don't really know what's going on. They don't know what the team is. They have no idea this is happening. And this is the play, the sneaky play that Bronze Army is looking to pick up, and they secure it. That's going to help them push them back into the game. Reborn doesn't seem too worried. They're going to keep on going with the plan and securing those Raptors and rotate back in. They actually avoid them entirely because they know this could be bad news for their team. This gives a very big 1200 CP to the entire team, as well as the power boost from Prime Card.
Yeah, this is the power. This is the card point boost they need. They are still behind, so they need to try and make the most of this. They need to try and take some fights while they have this buff, while they got the sort of equal leveling stats, because it kind of negates a little bit of the difference in points. So that they want to try and get a few favorable engagements right now. They have the regen. They can look for maybe a couple of bits of poke and then go in and out from a couple of fights, take a couple of towers, and try to narrow this gap. They probably won't be able to do much off of this.
Sneaky taking a very aggressive pathing, being the only one to go through, and he's going to pay the price for that as Moragesh was right there to finish the job off. It's now J-Leo pushing down the mid lane into Cranky Trash Can as they continue to fight. Cranky's going to have to disengage while Taboo's using the Cosmic Rift to peel that wave off. They're going to engage. It's going to be Reflect with the Fury of the Heavens to go in. Containment Fence goes down, but that's not going to be without any trying because it's going to be NATO picking up the kill as Taboo goes in with the Black Hole, getting a nice big ultimate, but J-Leo did use the Warlord's Challenge to get that one off. And that is going to be overall a favorable engagement for Reborn as they continue to now push down another tier 2 tower, picking that one up into the mid lane. Overall, they're still winning the engagements.
Yeah, and they also managed to take out Taboo right there at the end. So because Sneaky got caught out there, because he got the Mark and the Hive put onto him and ended up falling, Reborn had the upper hand. Even though they had the Prime buff activated, a 4v5 fight will still go in the favor of Reborn because of that point lead that they already have.
Yeah, and it does seem to be the case. Black buff, red buff spawning now at 1930. Teams are picking those up. Black buff to Moragesh, which could be very distant, very dangerous, just to see how things go. What are we looking at builds? We're starting to see the more advanced builds come out. We're seeing Taboo with a bubble tap and shockwave right now.
Yeah, we are. I've kind of bugged out a little bit on him as well, so I'm going to just quickly go back 10 seconds as well. Forward 10 seconds as well. There's the shockwave. There's the bubble tap. We can see it now on his build. 20 points. Taboo is still pretty far behind. You can see there's Soda Nazgul 11 points ahead, which is a substantial difference. This is why the Prime was not enough for them to win those fights. With Sneaky falling, Reborn recognized they have such a point lead, they can still fight.
And it does seem to be the case. We are seeing Master Splinter with the Stasis Gem as well, just to kind of add a little bit of sustainability and protection to the support to go things, to get everything going in their favor right now, continue that aggression. We are seeing Craigie Trashcan finally able to secure one of his first greens of the game. You know, he's had a rough time clearing out his own jungle for the first 20 minutes of this game. And we're only 30 seconds away the next river buffs.
Yeah, he's slowly starting to catch up in points. He's managed to hit 25, only now 3 points behind as opposed to the 5 he was earlier. So a little bit better from him. He's managed to get that Mad Spore. He's got his Elder Mage amulets with a bunch of health. He's probably going to be looking to upgrade his Guardian's Wards with health as well. And he's going to try and be as tanky as possible on this Sevrog. 2k health, green buff. Maybe they look to get a fight here in this mid lane and try get Nadosic caught, but it's going to be rough.
It's going to be really hard because the vision control of Reborn is doing so well. Purple Buff going down on both sides of the map. We have Trashcan picking up one and Master Splinter picking up the other. The ward does go down, so they do know there is a very invisible Bellica right now, roaming around, stalking in the Shadow Realms and seeing what they're going to use with that. As Jay Leo clears out the ward, drops one of his own into the jungle once again, and they're continuing to just take advantage of the pressure they can put on the map. As Reflect pushes down the left lane, they're going to take out the jungle, take whatever farm they can, and just be there ready to rotate and for the pick. On the right side, it's pushing their advantage too, so they have to use Greystone to go over there, forcing a 4v5 in their favor.
Yeah, they're going to have to go for this a little bit quickly. Joshua should be able to rotate if he leaves like at this second, which we do see him go. So they might be able to defend a little bit, but mid lane's pushing. Raptors haven't spawned, and I don't think they really want to risk it. It's still a pretty high risk from Reborn to go for that tower dive. They have no real need. They have vision on the Prime. They can just wait it out, wait for the next spawn of Prime, carry on denying resources by taking the jungle, taking all these minions, carrying on increasing this 100-point lead that they've built in minions and their point lead across the board on carries. Nado's at 36, Miso Sneaky only at 29.
The thing is, the longer the game goes on, as long as Bronze Army is able to keep their inhibitors up, the longer the game goes on, the more favorable it is for them. Because if they're managed to get a good pick, that is a very long death timer at this point in the game, allowing them to force a favorable fight, get that Prime once again, get Raptors, catch up that CP. Because really, if you're ahead, you're on a clock when you think about it. You don't get any higher than 60. The team can catch up to you and make it even.
You are on a clock, but they're only at the 30-point mark. They still have 20 more points. They have still about 20 more points they can build, and that's over the next 20 minutes. So they have a pretty big clock right now, and in between that clock, there's going to be multiple primes, maybe 2 or 3 primes, I believe, before they hit that 60-point mark, depending on how this match goes.
Blue buff going to Jay Leo, and it's going to be a black buff on the other side of the map. Joshua getting engaged on. He's going to dive out before the rest of Reborn can rotate over and do any more damage to him. And he's going to just roam around in his own jungle. He is warded by Reborn. So exactly what's going on. They're going to jump onto Raptors, knowing that 2 people are in the jungle. 1 is on the right lane, and then we have Sevrog and Miso Sneaky on the left lane. So they're just going to watch the Raptors being taken once again, helping Nadosic increase his lead even further. And the green buff is spawned. They know it's there. They're going right on top of it.
They want to take this fight. They have the lead. This is a prime objective, sort of mini objective they can try and fight over. And Miso Sneaky might be that target.
And Miso Sneaky looking to get engaged on, but he doesn't. And that's Nabori wasting the containment field to try and peel for Sneaky a little too late. And then when he needed, so that is going to be a very, very big ability down for Reborn's army, giving Reborn the advantage to maybe rotate to Prime, which we see Jay Leo starting to do, dropping a ward down, prepping it, and going to be de-warding the 2 that are already there.
Yeah, no containment field here for this next fight, which is actually pretty big. You can't lock Reborn inside this pit with that ability. There's no Taboo's got nothing to really keep them there. He's going to have to force the thing to go for it.
Big engagement coming out of Bronze Army 3, but Jay Leo's there to catch all of them as he gets engaged on. Joshua is doing what he can to just stop the team. However, he's not alone. It's going to be Taboo coming in with a black hole, getting stunned out of it, followed by the Greystone Reforged to do damage to Jay Leo. He could go down, and it's going to be Nato picking the kill on Miso Sneaky, with Reborn getting out with very little health. Nato Sick getting a kill on the Bori now as Reflects in to join the fight, and that looks like it could be very well a full team wipe on what looked like to be a very good engagement for Bronze Army, but they're getting a full ace and a triple kill onto Nato.
Joshua ended up getting popped his ultimate just a little bit too early. Reflect wasn't there. However, he did come back in. He did get that sweep, and it does look like they're going for this inhibitor on the side of Reborn. 5 down. Will they actually carry on this push? They do have about 10 seconds on the clock before Miso Sneaky and Niboria are up. Maybe they tried to go for something extra. Nope. They're going to back up. Probably go for this prime, as they still have about 20 seconds on the clock before the rest of the team respawns on the side of Bronze Army.
And the thing is the entire team Reborn was so low that they just could have died. Taboo's consistently getting stunned out of his ultimates. I'm noticing he's flying a little too low to the ground to dodge Jay Leo's Warlord's challenge, the smashing grab, maybe the Bellica knockup, because if he was able to get a full channel off there, it would have been huge and a big turnaround for Bronze Army. But instead, they get the prime. They pick up a kill on the ADC. It's Reflect getting that one once again. They're going to back, and now they have complete advantage of the game.
Yeah, they already had it before in terms of card power, but now with prime, these tower dives that they're sort of hovering about before are a much more real possibility. They can afford to tank the damage. They have the minions buffed up with extra bonus stats, as we can see, and on top of that, it's going to be rough. If they take damage, they can back out, and Bronze Army is going to have a really tough time trying to defend this. They are really far behind in power. They really need to make and hope that Reborn does make a mistake here, but so far they've yet to do that. Reborn have been playing outstandingly this game.
Now, one thing I'd like to touch up on, or just kind of discuss quickly as the Russ are spawning, and the teams are starting to engage, is what do you think of the Taboo's build right now? Like, we're starting to see more utility cards put into the game, less straight power. He's going for a bubble tap and a shockwave. On the question of bubble tap, why not take nanoplasm instead? You can build power into it. It costs roughly the same, and it's going to give you more consistent sustain as a passive than bubble tap will, where you actually have to use mana and it's an active with a cooldown.
The main issue I had was the ordering of his build, not the cards. He didn't actually build any power until pretty much now. There's 28 points he had sunk. He had an empty Adam Edge for a very long time, and only one Sage's Ward. So his power is actually really low in comparison to what you could be building. Because of the bubble tap, because of that shockwave that he built, he didn't have the oomph when he did go in for that blank hole.
And there is the inhib looking to be taken down in the left lane as Moragesh is pushing the right. Taboo versus Solo Nazgul, both mid laners going at it, as the rest of both teams are hovering in the left lane, trying to prevent Reborn from getting the advantage. It's going to be a hard one to do, as Taboo now has to switch out with the Greystone to rotate over, because that ultimate on the Gideon is going to be very, very useful if they actually manage to use it. But they're not doing a whole lot from stopping Reborn to engage. There's Taboo going again, flying a little low to the ground, and he gets popped for it by the Grux stun once again. He's going to try and drop the rock of the Cosmic Rift. Does not do enough damage. Jay Leo gets away as Nazgul, Nadosic picks up a kill onto the Sevarog, and they're going to continue the push into the inhibitor while Grux backs, gets himself nice and healthy, and goes back into the fight. Left inhibitor is down, and that's going to be Taboo and Miso Sneaky back into the regenerate, but Nabori does not manage to get away with his team. He goes down as well as they begin to rotate into the right lane, as Joshua there with his ultimate and no health. Just one quick tap out of the revolver of Revenant. He's going to go down. The knockup for Master Splinter. And Josh is in a little bit of trouble, as now the third and final inhibitor for Bronze Army is looking to go down. Taboo coming with a Cosmic Rift. Nice hit on Nadosic, but the damage is not enough. And Nadosic once again going to squeak away with no health.
They managed to secure all 3 inhibitors. Incredibly controlled gameplay from Reborn. They could have gone for the higher risk play and just gone straight for the core. Instead, they elected to take the inhibitors back off, probably get this Raptor that spawned yet again, giving NATO nearly 54 points right now. He's going to be nearly 60. With the Raptors, he's going to have an extra couple of points there to spend. And if we're just looking at builds right now, Reflect, Bloodsoaked Armor, Radiant Mantle, Quang build, incredibly strong build as well. Makes him really tanky, allows him to sit in the fights for a long period of time, as we've been seeing. Doesn't have maybe as much damage as other Quang builds that we've used to see in the past, where you get sort of a couple of admin edges, but the staying power ends up making up for it.
The nice thing about Quang there is that Quang's base damages are high enough as it is already. So building more damage is nice, and the scaling is good, but you don't really need it. We have an engagement going on to the green buff right now. Cranky Trashcan will walk away with it, but he might actually lose the buff entirely as the tick damage from Hive and Tainted Magic is just overpowering. But we do have an engagement once again. Jay Leo picking a kill on Nabori, who's now sitting at 0-6, getting repeatedly caught out in his own jungle. Jay Leo dashing in to try and help out, but it's going to be Taboo getting away with the torn space, burning the ultimate out of the Grux, which could be in favor of Bronze Army, not having the extra bleed damage and the extra stun coming out of Grux. This gives Taboo the opportunity to properly get a Black Hole ultimate off.
It's a 4v5. They're trying to push all these 3 lanes to start hitting the core. You can see Reflect setting up that left side on the map, and the other lane is just going to set naturally because of the supers. They're going to want to try and get all 3 to hit the core at the same time and then look at a fight while the minions are hitting the core. That way, they're doing both things at the same time. They can handle the players as well as getting chip damage into that core.
This is just a matter of time for Reborn to take the win away, and it's going to be Bronze Army. They're going to have to engage before those other 2 waves hit in, because that's going to be very bad news for the team. Once they get onto that core, and it's Sneaky going down as he gets blown up by the fear they have. It's Taboo flying in with the Black Hole, catching all in the containment fence. Cranky going in for a great wombo. That is the combination we've been waiting to see all game, but it's not enough damage to really get the job done, as Reborn is right there to just follow up and pick up 2 kills. Joshua finally killing Nadosic, and he's going to go down with a Reforce. Jay Leo tries to walk out of it. Taboo from the backline looking to drop some rocks on the map Splinter, but he's missing. Joshua, the last one alive, jumping onto Reflect, just doing what he can before he goes down, and that is going to be Reflect picking up that kill as well. Crank Trashcan diving on a Splinter. Taboo getting it with the Cosmic Rift. Subjugate coming down to Crank Trashcan to help peel for his teammate. Colossal Blow back up is used on 2.
Look at the minions though!
But the minions, or the Winions, are getting the job done and just burning the tower down.
Game 1, Reborn. In this best of 3 against Bronze Army. 32 minutes on the clock. Really, really well played. Really textbook play from Reborn. They controlled all the objectives. They controlled the jungle. And then they took all 3 inhibitors with a really strong push with all the minion waves just winning the match.
And that seems to be it. Very strong showing coming out of Reborn, only having, what, 3-4 deaths total in the game? Yeah, very.
24-4. Incredibly well played by them.
And that is completely amazing. Reborn showing that they're here to win it. They mean business, and they're going to take control of the game. Now, we will be back. We're going to get everything quickly set up